Hello, I'm Richard Hooper and this is SatTV Week. Now I'm here at IBC where I'm pleased to be joined by Rhys Morgan of Intelsat. Rhys, thank you for joining me today. Now, we're at IBC, post-COVID supposedly.
Yeah.
Exciting times. How do you feel about that?
Really good, to be honest with you. I mean, this would be my 21st IBC, were it not for the COVID break. So it's great to be back. It's incredibly busy. It's great to see partners, friends, former colleagues, existing colleagues from all over the world here. There's a real buzz again. And for us, it's an incredibly exciting time as a company. So all of that coming together is giving us a real sort of a wave of new energy. So yeah, very excited and very pleased to be here.
Now, we are at IBC, so we should talk about broadcast and media.
Yeah.
So what are Intelsat seeing as the growth areas?
So we've announced a couple of significant wins. A renewal with Slovak Telecom, one of our key partners in Central and Eastern Europe. That really underlines for us the strength of the One West neighbourhood. 18 million homes looking at the satellite. We've increased our terrestrial link-ups with Slovak. And then on top of that, we announced a deal with Televisa for a full Americas distribution. So renewing and expanding with our existing partners. We see HD and Ultra HD in certain areas of the world driving some growth. And obviously with our C-band work in the Americas, specifically in the US, then what we're doing is we are pushing all of our broadcasters into new compression techniques and really driving their commitment to our neighbourhoods, and our neighbourhoods are really sort of the fundamental of the broadcast business. On top of that, you know, we're looking at new ways of delivering content, new ways of ingesting content. So there's a lot going on, as there is across the entire industry. So, you know, we're feeling pretty good. There's growth in certain areas, and we're looking to sort of, you know, really drive that over the coming 12 months.
Yeah, it's a pretty competitive market. You're not alone in this, just looking around the halls. What gives you the edge?
Well, certainly our satellites and our neighbourhoods, in many places they're the number one in the market. If not the number one, then the number two. If I look at One West in Central and Eastern Europe, certainly the primary broadcasting spot there. Our C-band distribution across the Americas. We've got a great terrestrial network, very sophisticated, tremendous reach geographically. But I'd also say our people. We've got an incredible team. We've had a very challenging 3 years. We've gone through financial restructuring, change of ownership, change of management. But people have stayed focused, very customer focused. We've got incredible relationships with our partners. And so I think, you know, the combination of the assets, the infrastructure, and then our people really gives us a sort of a winning combination, if you like.
Now, for years coming to IBC, and before we had the break for the pandemic, everybody was talking about 8K, 4K. What is the scenario at the moment with regards to those?
So I think in certain markets there's real traction. I think in other markets maybe there's not the interest. We've got a UHD platform up at One West. There are some channels up there. Some of our partners have got UHD channels. But, you know, I think there are certain content types where I think it will gain momentum. You know, sports, for example, Premier League, English Premier League looks great in 4K, but I don't see it becoming incredibly widespread. And we also work in developing areas of the world where really the next leap for some of those platforms is actually to increase their HD. So in certain areas of the world, yeah, there's demand and we see it sticking. But in other areas, really the expansion is around HD. So, you know, a little bit of a mixed picture. I think also, you know, it depends a lot on the markets and the ARPUs in those markets. So, yeah, I'd say a mixed picture. But for us, we don't view that as a significant driver of new business. We see it as an interesting add-on to the existing business.
Now, not everybody's convinced that the market is that settled. So what are the challenges that Intelsat sees moving forward?
I think there are the obvious macroeconomic challenges that we're all going to face. But then on top of that, you know, we've got disruptive technologies coming into the market, whether it be new satellite players working with different orbits, etc. On the ground, you know, the terrestrial networks are ever increasing, the hyperscalers. So there are more options than ever for broadcasters. Equally, the audience becomes more fragmented. You know, I just look at the way my own two daughters consume media, and it's very different to the way I consume media. So people have to deal with that. So there's a lot of uncertainty. But what is really shining through is that the people who are producing top quality content they find eyeballs wherever they broadcast. So we still see lots of demand for our satellites delivering across, huge numbers of households or into, very high numbers of cable head-ends. We still see lots of demand there, but underneath that sort of very premium tier, then I think there's more sorting out to be done. That's certainly a challenge, and our media team, the product team, have really got their sort of ear to the ground to really understand which way the market's moving. And again, I'll go back to sort of a part of the answer I gave you for the 4K UHD type discussion. We work across many, many markets globally, and there isn't a common theme. In certain developing markets, there are some themes. In very sophisticated developed markets, there are other themes. So it's also about staying relevant locally.
Interesting times. Thank you for talking to me.
No problem. Great to see you again.